Middle name.
I mean, you get one chance to name a child.
Well, I think I was named after one of my mum's grandparents, and was the less embarrassing of the two.
Who was the other one?
Oh my God, I can't remember. Probably something like Doreen.
I quite like that name.
I only know her as Nanny Wheeler.
Nanny Wheeler?
Whatever her first name was.
You called your nanny by her surname?
Oh, I never met her. Mum called her Nanny Wheeler, and therefore I called her Nanny Wheeler.
My parents had no connection with the name Anne. They just panicked.
And went,
I don't know, Rebecca. That'll do. How's your evening? I've realised how much, this is the first time I felt performance adrenaline since March the 15th, when we last did a show. And this must be the longest we've gone without doing a gig for 10 years.
However, late February, early March, I'm telling myself is close because I'm still using earbuds and pulling red face paint out of my ear.
Oh, are you sure that's not blood at this stage?
It's too pink for blood.
Oh, it's so weird. I'm pulling all this red stuff out of my ear. It must be from when I painted my face. It must be from when I painted my face in early March. And not because I'm digging deeper and deeper into my ear. I'm finding more and more red face paint.
It gets darker as I go deeper too.
They've recently, you know what? Let's not get into that such early doors. They've recently changed the design of the nibs you put in your ear.
Have they?
Yeah. So one end they've got a bit of a flatter nib, like a sort of an oval with a scoop to the middle, and the other side is sharper. And you think this is going to be great. This is a two experience in one situation. Neither of them does the job as well as the...
No, it's perfect already. Both of those sound like utter failures. If either of them worked, they'd have been one of those shapes to begin with, wouldn't they? Call in if anyone agrees.
Let's talk about putting things in our ears.
Speaking of adrenaline, this is the first time I've had performance adrenaline for months, but the first time I had adrenaline was yesterday when I was battling our washing up.
Louise and I were working all day on Zoom, as we do, writing a show that nobody will see. And she went away to have a full lunch break because there was a pile of washing up so big it gave her adrenaline. And I think what we're experiencing here is the first time Louise has lived with just one other person, Jess, her lovely girlfriend, and without a, what's it called, the thing that you put?
Dishwasher.
It's been a while. I live on a boat. So she lives with Jess, and Jess does the cooking, so I'm guessing you're the one that does the washing up, and there is no dishwasher.
My life is just washing up now.
I asked you to take a picture because I couldn't believe there was such thing as a pile of washing up so big. Thanks, Jess.
Hello, boo-boo.
Thanks, boo-boo. I'm at my parents' house. So I've had to hide the wine so they don't finish it themselves.
Yeah, thank God I'm not at my mum's.
Oh yeah, your mum likes to drink, and I like to drink, and I like your
parents like to drink, and we all like our mums.
Last time we were at your mum's house was on our mum residencies, when we couldn't afford to do residencies, but we were saving some money. And we spent a week at your mum's and a week at mine. And one night we got so drunk with your mum, I remember you were lying on the floor like a little baby. I was pretending to be crucified, and your mum was shouting, going, "David Bowie! David Bowie was a real artist. I will love David Bowie." And she's in the middle of the doorway lecturing me. I'm going, pretending to be crucified, and you were...
I couldn't even remember that. The only thing I remember about the residency at my mum's is mum has one sofa, 4 dogs, and every morning you and I would come down for work and say, today we sit on the sofa. And we never did.
Actually, that opportunity, it was 5 dogs because young Nala,
hello Nala,
was also there. So that was 5 dogs and 3 humans, and they definitely won.
And one sofa. And
one sofa, yeah.
And a wooden floor, which we sat on.
Mm-hmm.
So,
How
did
was
you
your
watch
dinner?
Litters today?
Yes.
Me too.
Oh, how'd you feel? How'd you feel about it?
Uh, Obviously great. Everyone should come and see it. How do you feel about it? I was very nervous.
I was hoping it wouldn't come up so quickly because it made me feel incredibly sad. Sort of beyond the fact that it was like a one camera filming of a show that wasn't having its best day, which obviously it's always hard to watch yourself, and I hate watching us. But even if it was the best filmed version of us having absolutely nailed it, I probably still would have hated watching it.
Mm.
But all that aside, the quality aside, it's just so sad, Louise. I was so sad.
Yeah. Jess got sad.
Jess always cries at everything. That is not.
Yeah. She's a great audience member. What you want is for someone to cry.
Well, that's all we want, isn't it? Laughter, crying, or someone passing out. That's when you've really achieved something.
Also, when the first song happened, which is one I'd sort of forgotten, which was that theme tune to Letters to Windsor House, Jess got goosebumps on her boobs.
Did you tell her that was you on the loop pedal doing your impression of a slap bass that's from the Seinfeld theme tune? You're going, bam, 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 bam. I remember sitting on the floor of our studio, and what we were trying to write there was a mashup of as many like intro theme tunes of shows about family or Friends that we could. And so we went back to the 80s, and that is a bastardization of the Full House lyrics mashed up with the Seinfeld slap bass. Something about Fraser. There was a little bit of Friends, and that's what that was. So you can tell Jess. That was her getting goosebumps for that.
They all existed, like lasted to this day for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's goosebumps on the breasts.
So you watched it with Jess. How did Jess feel about it?
2 minutes in, she said, "Oh, I'm feeling nostalgic. Do you feel nostalgic?" She said, "I wasn't even there and I feel nostalgic."
Nostalgic for London or us or just being in our 20s? Jess is in her 20s, sorry.
Jess is still in her 20s. So,
sorry, Jess.
So it can't be that. It must have been a sort of fake nostalgia that we created in that show for a time and a place that no one else experienced.
I mean, I obviously experienced that as well, which is, I don't know, nostalgia is, whatever the root of the word nostalgia is, sadness for time that is dead, or whatever the Greek breakdown of that is. So part of the sadness is probably nostalgia as well. But it's just, it was very, very desperately sad.
Yeah.
About us and about the situation and about the place that is no longer there, and also about how fucked up the world is now in comparison. Whereas the worst thing we could think of to talk about in 2015 was, oh no, so expensive, the rent. Can you imagine if
what a world, what a
world we lived in when all we were worried about was how much the rent cost. Oh, I miss the rent being expensive.
Those were the days.
How did you feel about it, watching it as a land baron yourself now?
Oh yeah, there was a special moment towards the end where Rob Jacock said he was a landlord now.
Yeah.
And we said, are you saying you were able to buy a house because of Windsor House? And Jess and I shared a look. For those out there, by moving to Leeds, I now own a house as of a couple of months ago.
Yeah, as of when we were in Australia in February, it came through that you had bought for the price of a quarter of a one-bedroom flat in... Actually, so at the beginning of the show, we talk about a one-bedroom flat in Woodbury Down, the estate, which is opposite Windsor House, being £475,000 or £495,000, I think. And your four-bedroom house with full basement flat attached was...
about a quarter of that.
About a quarter, yeah. We have got a caller.
Oh, we have a caller.
We have a caller. And Claire Nolan says hi. Claire.
Is that the caller?
We have a caller from Wiwa Saab. Thanks for the awesome show. I was wondering if we originally filmed... I don't know if he wants or they want to come on. I don't know how this works.
How do we make that happen?
But I have the question here. thanks for the awesome show. Was wondering if you originally filmed the bits of footage with the intention to use them in the show. That's a fucking good question.
That's a really good question.
I would say the majority, the main bit that sticks in my head is the day that we tricked the poor estate agent Johnny into thinking we were eccentric lesbian couple down from Cambridge, and my dad was going to buy us a flat, and that was the reason we were filming it. And that we did definitely on purpose for this show, right? We didn't know what he was going to say, but we wanted to just go and have a snoop around in the flats.
Yeah, and luckily we couldn't have scripted the ridiculous things he was saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the stuff where he points out the pre-existing social housing is like, don't worry, those very attractive flats are going to come down. That's coming down. That's coming down. He left me voicemails for about 6 months afterwards, asking if we would still be interested, or whether my dad in Cambridge would still be interested.
Obviously, we and our questions about giant cushions were very convincing.
Very convincing. But yeah, I think the majority of the footage was filmed on purpose whilst making the show. Whether or not it was, we knew what would happen at the end of it.
Photos, like a lot of the photos were genuine personal photos that were just part of our life. But yes, I think most of the footage was filmed for the show.
Actually, the photos, the ones that we have right at the beginning, where it's at Windsor House and we're at Simply Organic and we're outside Fondon supermarkets, that was all in the style of, so that the summer before had been at Summer Hall, and in the main house at Summer Hall was a show by Wunderbaum called Looking for Paul, which was and remains our favourite show we've ever seen, I think, together or of all time.
Of all time.
It's, I don't know if anyone's seen Wunderbaum or any Belgian theatre, to be fucking honest, because they're nailing it. But it was, the first half is a sort of panel discussion about a piece of art that has been put up, I think, in Ghent, Gnome butt plug. It's a butt plug.
Gnome butt plug?
It's a butt plug. And it's a discussion about public funding and obscenity. And there's just 4 people on stools. And the entire thing is illustrated with photographs. And in each corner of the photograph, you see this woman. Just always...
Looking angry about the art outside her house.
Yeah, she lives in the flat next to Gnome butt plug, and she can see this, what she sees as a offensive piece of sculpture from her window, and every photo is her, tiny her in the corner. And in the second half, it all breaks down into this playing out of the most obscene thing you could possibly imagine with the public funding that Wunderbaum got to make it. And it's sort of like a hay bale palace, and they end up dressed as Disney princesses, sort of fucking each other in the hay, covered in ketchup, quoting Lady Gaga lyrics. It was amazing. It was the funniest thing.
It was hilarious and beautiful.
Yeah, so those little photos were taken, the photos rather than the videos were taken on purpose and like directly inspired by / stolen from Looking for Paul and the first half of Looking for Paul. We have Caroline, who wants to come on air. Our producer.
Oh, yeah, lovely.
Caroline on air. Sweet. She must get that a lot.
Caroline. She must get it all the time.
She must get it all the time.
Although I'm sure when it happens, people usually finish even the line from the song rather than giving up halfway through.
Sweet. Did Neil Diamond get Me Too'd? Or you treat or whatever?
We've written so many paedophilic songs.
Yeah, Sweet Caroline, that's about a small child. Girl.
We're having trouble patching Caroline through.
Caroline, I'm so sorry. We're having trouble patching you through. If you want to ask a question, you can also, I think, message Tom.
We have Rewa who asked the question earlier.
Rewa. Oh, put them through.
Hello.
Oh my goodness!
Hi. Sorry about that. I'd only just found out how to actually call in.
Amazing.
Please don't apologise. We're learning as we go.
Yeah.
Can you see us?
Yeah, I can see you. I feel a bit bad I don't have a mask to match you guys.
You are in your house. That's fair enough.
Yeah. Where are you?
I'm just in London.
It's in London. Oh, hi to London.
Where are you?
I'm at my parents' house in East Anglia,
Okay.
and Louise is in Leeds, in Yorkshire.
Okay, cool.
Cheers. Thanks for your question.
Thank you. It's an excellent question.
Cheers.
Cheers.
No, thank you for the answer. And I thought it was really interesting as well when using multimedia with live theatre, but still making it feel very live.
Oh, that's very kind.
thank
That's
you.
very kind to say.
It's always a balancing act, isn't it?
Yeah, we're actually talking about. We always have a conversation about the sort of projection screen as the third party on stage, and how much we want that third party to be there, and how much that third party takes over or not. It's like the kind of relationship Louise and I have, where we love each other, but we're battling each other at all times, right? It's like, I love you and I hate you, and I love that fucking screen. I hate that fucking screen.
I love it.
Could I actually ask a second question now that
Absolutely.
now that I'm here?
Yeah.
Because you guys have a lot of tools at your disposal, whether it's the screen or whether it's song or whether it's, that dialogue with the lights. And I wanted to ask, how do you choose what you're going to do when it comes to whatever you want to speak about?
Oh, that's such a nice question. I mean, we do break it down, kind of sort of form matching content, I think, is always something. I mean, this is a show we made in 2015, 16. And so watching it is sort of, you watch it and I wish we'd done something else, or you see where we've moved on from what we did.
Right.
But I think we've always tried to have a conversation about form and content, and why we're picking, why is it a song at this point? Why is it separated by lights at this point?
There's also an element of, there are certain things we will just want to do because it makes us laugh or because it's fun. So in this show, it was dancing as letterboxes. And our rule is, thank you. And our rule is, we just need to have 3 reasons why it's there, even if one of them is just because I want it to be there. As long as we can justify it with 2 more reasons, it's in.
I think we originally stole that from the famous Lauren Barry Holstein, or I definitely originally heard that from her. I'm pretty sure it's not someone particular's invention, but yeah. Okay. I heard it from her, like 3 reasons. If one of them is, I think it's cool and I want to do it, then you just have to justify with 2 more.
Oh,
and also with the trumpet and the trombone playing, we always try and pick something that we actually can't do per show, and that was I don't know if you noticed. Thing.
Yeah.
I was not sure.
If you notice, better, we're not trumpeters and trombonists.
Oh, mate, we did that show so many times and we got no better.
Yeah, because there was a comedian a few years ago who taught himself, was like, part of his joke was that at the end he would try to play the trombone and it's always bad. But through the course of doing his stand-up, he accidentally taught himself the trombone. That did not happen for us.
I remember, like, Made in China, Jess had this bit where one of their shows, it was fucking great, I can't remember the show, but she was tap dancing, and the point was that she would get more exhausted, but she got fitter and fitter over the course of the time where she did it. Like, the purpose of this is starting to shift now, whereas I'm just fucking nailing this. And I'm going, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but don't worry.
It's perfect.
Exactly. Whereas don't worry, that's never happened for us.
There must have been something we got good at some point.
Failure.
That's a great thing to be good at. I'm learning to be good at that. I want to be great at that.
Yes.
Cheers
to that.
Cheers to that. All right. Thank you so much. Great to
Thank
see you.
Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
I don't know how. Oh wow, that was amazing.
Ah. Wow, that was exciting.
Just going to recover from the excitement there. So what are you wearing, Louise? Who are you wearing tonight?
I am wearing Primark's finest black shirt.
Nice.
And a silk tie. I think it's made by Silk, a company called Silk.
Oh, they conveniently call themselves Silk, but it's
probably polyester.
Yeah.
It's very smart, very smart. Who are you wearing, Becca?
I'm wearing a cape I bought for my little sister's wedding. And
very nice.
Was intending to wear for our friends Doug and John's wedding, which was coming up this summer, but God has smited the two men who were going to try and marry each other with a pandemic, and therefore the wedding has been postponed until 2021, as you well know, because you are also invited.
Indeed. It was going to be mine and Jess's first real wedding together.
Oh, sorry.
As much as two men getting married can be a real wedding.
Oh, wedding. Okay, we have another caller.
Is this Caroline?
I don't think so. No. Oh, hi! Hi!
Hello.
It's so nice to see you. How are you doing?
All right, thanks, Shit Theatre. How are you?
Oh, mate, it's so nice to see your face. Cheers. How are you doing? Cheers.
Cheers.
Hey, thanks for the show.
Thank you. Thanks for encouraging people to have a watch.
Yeah, it's so Rewa is a student on a course at Guildhall School of Music and Drama called Performance and Creative Enterprise, and there are some people we are watching along this evening. We watched it and then we joined the Q&A. So there's some students who are watching, and we've got a live Zoom chat happening. So what I'm going to say to the students and my colleagues is, if you have any questions, I've got the Zoom chat open. Nice. And if you have any questions but you didn't want to come on screen, put them in the Zoom chat.
That's a very good idea.
Thank you.
You know what? When I was researching drama schools as a teenager, Guildhall was up. When I was trawling through programs for plays and musicals that I had, Guildhall was up there as one that most people went to. And so it means a lot that that this is what they're watching.
Yeah. They're amazing. It's a course of kind of agitators and multidisciplinary artists and political provocateurs. And so watching your work is particularly relevant and resonant. So yeah, thank you. I have a question for you, Louise and Rebecca. What is the best thing? So the students are also amazing collaborators, and we're sort of the school is trying to teach them about collaboration. What's the best thing and the most challenging thing about collaborating with each other?
Oh, that's such a good question, isn't it?
I know the best thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think the first thing we noticed, because we both started doing performance art with doing our own shows, and I think we discovered that having someone else on stage with you takes away so much of the fear, because whatever happens, there's one other person in the room who's got your back.
But it's also immediately way more interesting. Not that it's not interesting to watch a single person on stage, but as soon as you put two or more people on stage, there's already a relationship that people are watching, and so it makes our job easier and makes us have to work less harder. Not that we're going to go down that route necessarily right now, but having more than one human on stage makes everything easier for everybody, the audience and the people on stage.
And you could be in an hour-long play or theatre piece or performance, but you're only really doing half of the material, aren't you?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I get horrible stage fright, and over the process, as Lou said, we've done solo work before, and over the process of working for 10 years, you start to, as part of as part of developing yourself as a professional artist, that you start to go, I can make some choices. I can choose to do this gig. I can choose to take this gig for free. And one of the choices I think I make is I've realized I don't want to work alone. I don't get pleasure from being alone. I don't get the satisfaction that I would get when I work with Louise. I find it much more pleasurable. Maybe it's like a hedonistic urge, or just a genuine desire to serve myself personally. It's I do not enjoy myself as much when I'm alone, and I don't want to live a life where I'm working alone. And so that's And also Louise and I have the privilege of not being as embarrassed about saying shit ideas in front of each other. So I think that's a nice thing when you find that special person or that special bunch of people where you're totally fine to say an idea and they go, oh, that was awful. Oh, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, we've both collaborated with other people where we're too embarrassed to do either say an idea we think is shit or tell them an idea is shit.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas we can do that with each other, which is always brilliant.
Yeah, so important. That you kind of you're sort of speaking to a question that's popped up in our Zoom chat from Maeve, amazing Maeve Joy.
Hi, Maeve.
Shout out to Maeve. Yeah. So she's saying that she loved the show. And you've kind of spoken a bit to this already, but how did you find collaborating whilst also living together? And could you talk about a little bit about your process while you were creating the show? And that, I guess, maybe is a personal as well as a professional process.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, the letters we wrote to each other were genuine. We sat down in the show. We sat down in a coffee shop and wrote each other like the things we loved. We just wrote really personal letters to each other, really truthful letters. And the bit where the conversation that Becca reads out between me and my girlfriend, where she wanted me to move in with her, and I said, "But what about shit theatre?" It was all true. Like we honestly didn't know how to work together if we weren't living in the same house.
Yeah, but I think Louise and I are naturally either lazy or terrified, or we've constantly had to work against our own natural inclination to do absolutely fucking nothing. And while we were just getting started, which was like the first 6 or 7 years, in my opinion, it helped that we were living together because we could roll out of bed in our pajamas and literally our sofa in the first house we lived in with each other. Louise slept in half the lounge. We had a curtain rail.
It was a clothes rail.
A clothes rail, and then our lounge was 2 sofas opposite each other like this. And we would sit opposite each other like this, and we would write stuff because there's nowhere else to go, and that was our lounge, and we found it fun.
Yeah. So so you made like Drink Run with Expats and Dollywood. Did you make them while you were living together, or did you find a new way of like those shows, I guess, were made while you weren't living together? How did you navigate that?
It was
well
to begin with.
Oh, sorry, you want to go? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Well, when we wrote most of Letters, we were still living together, and then right in the last month or something, when we were just tweaking, we weren't. But yeah, Dollywood was the first show we wrote not living together, and it was a learning curve, and we were scared. Like, maybe this is it. And maybe we'll find out we can't do this.
And Expats was the first one we wrote with Louise living in a different city on the other side of the country, which was like another thing that was added to it that we've had to figure out if this whole sort of Corona thing has added another level again, which yeah. So everybody's in the kind of same boat as us now, as you're being separated from your loved ones and your creative partners and stuff like that, and having to figure out.
I think hopefully our being apart has forced us not to work more but to work better, as our director would say. Which is that we
genuinely believe nobody can work for more than 4 hours a day, and sometimes you need to go to the pub, and sometimes you need to have a long fucking walk or a shower or a shit. And so our shit theatre working day at the moment, 12 till 4, Monday to Thursday. I mean, fair enough, we're not getting paid, and we're working on a show that nobody will see, but 12 to 4. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, answers the question perfectly. Thank you so much, guys. I'm going to go because I think there might be other people waiting.
Hey, it was so nice to see you.
Lovely to see you. And my love to Jess also.
Our love to Gilball. Jess, I'll give her your love.
Bye, Gilly.
Thank you. Bye.
It was weird, wasn't it? The first show we made when we weren't living together.
Yeah, it was. There are a lot of nerves involved, which I think at times the fear of the fact that we felt like we had less time took up more time.
Yeah, we talked about this the other day and it is largely me, I think, and I get incredibly anxious that a thing will not work, or I start to project into the future the responses to a thing that hasn't even been made yet, and then adjust the thing we're making or the way we're making it in response to the imagined criticisms in the future. And so like the first show we made not living together, I was like, they're gonna know this is the first show shit theatre made without living together, and see, it doesn't work. See, I knew they should have lived in that shithole in Manor House for the rest of their lives. That was the only way.
I'm so disappointed for their career. They're no longer living in that shithole in Manor House.
I do miss that shithole. You know, I watched it and...
House has been knocked down now, hasn't it?
The house hasn't been knocked down, but the flats next to it have been knocked down, and they are now building a travel lodge. God help the people that book a travel lodge in London and end up living there. You know what's also gone is the Happy Man's gone.
The Happy Man's gone.
Which was always part of the plan. The Happy Man's gone, and hashtag fish and chips is now called, or was up until recently called, renamed traditional fish and chips, and has since.
They obviously saw our show,
and I think it's been shut down now. And there's something else that I noted that's also been shut down. Oh, the hotel, Majestic.
Well, thank God. Like, I'd rather stay in a travel lodge in Manor House, not near Harrods, than in Majestic bed-bug infested hotel.
You also love
in Manor House, not near Harrods.
You love a travel lodge.
Doesn't everyone?
Not everybody loves.
I prefer a Premier Inn.
Oh, I love fucking hell. Premier Inn. Yes, please. Listen, we'll talk you through.
Their beds. Their beds do not even need to be that comfortable.
We're not even paying that much money. You can take it down a notch.
They could get away with less comfortable beds.
I'm sorry from it. I'm trying to juggle. Tom, our producer, is messaging us. Sue Eves says hi. Oh, Sue from Max, Jess, Sue, and Jack. Oh my God, hi guys.
Oh, hey.
And then we've had the question from Maeve, which we also answered. Oh, Ruth was going to call in. Ruth, our flatmate, who we talk about,
who features heavily in Letters to
Windsor House, is going to call in. I'm just going to send Ruth a question. Sorry, Lou. Bear with me a second. You do.
Shall I keep talking, or should we just sit in silence?
Why doesn't everyone have a wee or a snack? Here's what I've got. It's 4 Bits a Whisper. That's the official name, not my name for them.
They're called Bits O Whisper.
Bits a Whisper.
Bits O Whisper.
Bits a Whisper. Have some Bits a Whisper. You go and do whatever you need to do, Lou, and I'm going to message Ruth.
That's right. I'll talk while you're messaging Ruth.
Thank
for
you.
the listeners who are still there.
Appreciate it.
I have some Premier Inn.
I have some questions for you about the actual show and your artistic process. But if you wanted to scat monologue about the Premier Inn, I'd be quite happy to support you in that.
I'm not going to scat monologue, but I will rank it.
So
what are the 3 big? Yeah, the 3 big ones. The 3 big guys: a Premier Inn, Travelodge, and what's the other one called?
Ibis.
Lou, which, by the way, we discovered is what people call a bin chicken in Australia.
Put me off emailing Ruth. Lou, I've got a note here about things that got cut out of the show, and whether we should just do a big call out to the sections that were cut out. And things I include are skywriting and and the successful Murphy.
Okay, so firstly, skywriting. This was an element that was going to be in the show, but the show just had too many things already. We, for the first time ever in our career, applied for crowdfunding. We had a crowdfunding campaign to pay for skywriting that just said, "Where are you, Rob Jacock?" across the sky over the part of London we believed he'd moved to. I think we had a lecturer at school, Professor Jen Harvey, who shared it. Thinking, the Mile End College of Performing Tricks, who shared it, thinking it was a genuine crowdfunder that would help our career.
Oh,
and yeah.
I've sent that link off to Ruth, and I have a question from Ildiko. Professor Ildiko, if that's your real name. And Ildiko is a friend of ours, and she teaches at a very great establishment, and she would like to know about some touring anecdotes for Letters to Windsor House. Or any touring anecdotes at all. We actually met Ildiko, mate. If you don't want us to say this, you shouldn't have asked this question. We met Ildiko when we were touring Women's Hour, which was our show we wrote before Letters. And we were it was the first ever UK, or like any tour we'd ever done, and it was produced by Jen Smethurst, who's our general manager, and it was the first, and it was great. And we went to Nottingham Playhouse and played 2 there in their studio space, which is sort of studio with black curtains around it, and absolutely fucking died. Like at the end, they didn't even clap. They just stared.
They just sat there in horror.
Stared in horror. Oh, afterwards, and about 4 to 6 women were there. The only people that had seemed to enjoy the show. and we throw sort of tampons around during the show, and they collected the tampons and worn them as earrings, and they came up to us and invited us out with them and took us to Nottingham's oldest pub, which I think is the world / Britain's oldest pub, and got out a massive bag of MDMA. I'm not even like a bag, like a sandwich bag of MDMA.
And they dumped it onto the table in plain sight in the oldest pub,
and encouraged us to get involved.
And then encouraged us to get involved. And then they took us to the whitest reggae bar, where we had a great time.
Then went back to one of Ildeco's friends' house, where they have...
Where she has retractable lights above her dining room table, because whenever Ildeco goes there, Ildeco will dance on her table. So in order to rescue her lights, they're retractable.
And we've known each other ever since. So that was... Yeah, you do meet nice people on tour.
That's the thing, even the worst gigs, you can meet the best people.
That's true, even the worst gigs. I mean, we've had some pretty bad gigs with Letters. I was thinking about this when we were watching about touring Letters to Windsor House. And the first one that came to mind was one you remembered the other day, was when we played Buzzcut at the CCA in Glasgow, and you'd just come off the plane from somewhere in the States. You were touring with your show with Rachel Mars, got the train right up, and then whilst dressed as...
We went off stage to put our post boxes on, as we do,
and then tried to come back into the room and had accidentally locked ourselves outside whilst on stage. So it had us dressed.
Well, no, we had no arms, so it's just us throwing ourselves at the door, saying, "Let us in!"
And we were being live BSL interpreted by Catherine King, who is a phenomenal interpreter, but hadn't, because Louise was away, seen the show or worked with us, so didn't know that this wasn't part of the show. So I think was on stage interpreting, "Help me!
Our screams, help me!"
And I guess this is so hard to tell. Is this part of it? I guess this is part of it. Open the door! Open the door! We also played a Christian rock festival, didn't we?
We did. That was with
Letters.
Was that also with Letters? It was called Green Belt. We've got
Jack and Max coming up.
Jack and Max. Well, we had hundreds of people in the audience who were all teetotal.
Yeah, so it's a sober festival, a sober Christian rock festival.
Which was the day after the Edinburgh Fringe finished.
Yeah.
So we got on the train, went straight there. And, I mean, they were amazing, the audience. They were sober enough to laugh at bits no one had ever laughed at before.
Yeah. It was one of those gigs where you're like, we've done this about 70 times and nobody's ever laughed at that. And they were very welcoming, considering lesbian content and some of the stuff. They were on board for it. Mm-hmm. That was the time where they told us they'd booked us into a fancy spa hotel. And we were like, oh, unusual, but many thanks to...
Fair enough. This is what you can get with a Christian rock festival.
God bless us. And then went to this spa hotel, demanded that they let us in, said our name was on the list. They said, "You're on the list," but were incredibly polite about it because it was a fancy spa hotel. And we'd heard that there was a swimming pool, but we'd come straight from Edinburgh. We had these like bags of Indian takeaway we were saving for the snack. So we made them store our stinky takeaway in the receptionist's cupboard, took all our clothes
and
off.
We demanded to go and get into our swimwear and get into their swimming pool.
And we were just getting into our swimwear in this receptionist's cupboard when the festival called us and said, "Sorry, you're actually in the travel lodge down the road."
And we said to ourselves, okay, that makes more sense.
That makes more sense, yeah. Jack and Max. Jack and
Hello, Jack and Max.
We know Jack and Max.
Oh, here we are.
That makes sense.
Hey! Hey! Oh, hello, you two!
Ah!
Oh, you're all there!
Speaking of Glasgow, we know Jack from Glasgow first, right?
I don't think I saw that show because I would have remembered that, because that sounds hilarious.
But we originally met you because you put us up when we first played Buzzcut in like 2000 and God knows when that was.
15 when we were doing Women's Hour.
14
I think
15.
it was Women's Hour, yeah.
Yeah. Buzzcut used to hook you up with local artists, and then the local artists would put you up in their house, and Jack put us up in the house, and we had a
I
brilliant
know.
time.
I'd seen a couple of shows and I didn't want to be like, I've seen your shows, because I didn't want to freak you out and be like, I already know who you are, people staying with me. So I just,
we still you showed us this video with a YouTuber bring her dog to things like, what are this? What are this?
oh,
What are these?
Jenna Marbles.
What are these?
Yes, Jenna Marbles, who's recently
I
been.
love- I love how that's your memory.
But we have many more memories, but it's more that we still quote that thinking of you.
Wow.
Yeah, what are these?
What are this?
I remember taking you to the Savoy Centre. Don't know if you remember that.
Oh my God, never forget.
Oh, we remember that. Anyone ever in Glasgow, if it's still there,
No,
go to the Savoy
like,
Centre.
It's still there, right?
I think it's been like zhuzhed up a bit. Hopefully not too much.
I was going to say, on topic with letters, that is ripe for gentrification, and you really don't want that place to be gentrified because it's so beautiful.
It is the kind of shopping centre that looks like it's from the 60s, and they have an actual whole shop that's just for selling bibs for like people who work in children's cafeterias.
There's a nunchuck shop. There's a pet shop that's empty. There's a tabard shop.
The Savoy Diner.
The Savoy Diner.
Yes.
The
Savoy Diner.
nightclub.
Where you eat while smelling the smell of fake nails.
Yeah, we had a great egg baguette downstairs.
Indeed, good memories. Good times.
How are you three?
We're good. We're hanging in there. That was our question to you. How are you guys doing? I mean, you kind of answered it a bit.
It's so nice to see you.
But it's good to see you.
How are your students, Matt?
Well, sorry you didn't get there this year, but then actually about 2/3 of the course only happened online because the lockdown came kind of after the first third.
He's been teaching from home.
Yes.
This is Rose Bruford, right?
Rose Bruford.
Sorry.
Rose Bruford.
But
For people that don't know, Max teaches at Rose Bruford, performance and music as well, right?
that kind of thing.
That kind of thing.
Say what the course is called.
Well, it's
For
the
the
actor
people who
musician
don't know.
course, and I do a module on it about exploratory music and diverse music, and which is how come you lot were involved. It was because you are non-musicians.
That's exactly right.
The students were far more skilled than we could ever dream to be.
Max, honestly, your students are wildly skilled to the point of which we didn't know what to do with it. And you were like, why didn't you push them further? It's like, because we have nothing. There's nothing.
We thought we were pushing them. We didn't realise they were going to be that skilled.
Well,
We've never met people this skilled before.
I'll try and get you to do one on the MA next year.
Please don't.
No, you'll love it. The thing about automatic writing, they really got off on, and they were a great group actually. They may be listening, but that was a great group amongst other great groups. But they did a corker of a sharing at the end, and it was a somewhat inspired by Airplane, and they had a kind of Jonathan Ross character introducing it, and he was clearly off his head on something and had to keep going, and he was acting obviously, but he kept turning the corner to take some more of it, and so it was more and more unhinged. It was very brilliant. I loved it. And also
gorgeous.
Directly inspired by.
Well, I think the whole idea about running with something and making it happen, because that when they all got together to decide how sharing was going to go, they really needed that kind of automatic writing so that everyone had a kind of line, and then there was a discussion rather than a discussion about everything in the world. It was a discussion about 12 particular short sentences.
Nice.
I mean, we could off the back of it, this say the reason I find most terrifying is running.
Becca,
Yeah.
Can you guys see Becca?
Pardon? Oh.
Can you guys see Becca?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't see. Oh, there she's back. Sorry, carry on.
I'm here. Sorry.
I can see you.
So-
Sorry.
Sorry, I'm in Suffolk, and my parents have recently been blaming the bad internet on having 4 people in the house.
Yeah, we do that.
Like in London, there's loads of people using the internet, and somehow it still seems to work. But here in East Anglia, if there's 4 people on one internet, they just run out of internet.
Doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
What were you?
Sorry, what are you going to say,
I was just
Becca?
going to say, off the back of you guys, like the most thing we find most terrifying is a workshop. Like doing Max's workshop at Rose Bruford for us is terrifying, and we talked about this recently. I think we were in Plymouth, and we had like a after show discussion, and some other theatre groups were there talking about their workshops that they were doing, and somehow having to translate your practice or like the way that you work to a group of people when all you want to do is we lock ourselves in a room, we drink a lot of tea, we sit in front of the internet, and we say a lot of bad ideas at each other until one of those ideas makes us laugh or cry. Like I don't, and then
That's the process.
We always say, it says, but when we do a workshop, it's here are some of the warm-ups.
why don't you walk around, do some automatic writing and pretend you're a cat? Although to be honest, we do automatic writing still. That is like it's a classic, and it's a classic that we used from Lois Weaver, who obviously didn't invent it, but from Lois Weaver on our performance course to now, we still use in all workshops. But
Well, you made me write the only poem I've written.
yes, Max.
It was so good.
Would you read it for us?
Oh yes, can you do us a reading?
I don't think he knows where
Well,
it is.
Okay,
The
I've
notebook.
got a favour to ask you, but it's sort of a favour to you, possibly. So, so you know, I do broadcasting. Hello, I do broadcasting, and yeah, this is for Soho Radio. I do this thing called Late Lunch Show every Friday, 1 till 4, and it's live. In fact, I do it from this very home because
lockdown.
yeah,
Because lockdown.
But you could come on the show and you could talk about what you're up to, and you can talk about, you know, your online happenings and, you know, the show that people can get for but a few pence.
But a few pence.
Yeah.
Not a few. And one of those pence,
I think
a few of those pence goes to shelter.
Yeah, so there we are.
Yeah.
Yes, please,
Yeah, we'd
Max.
love
Who are currently advising us on a housing matter.
Oh,
Anyway,
we won't go
we can
into
talk
that.
about that on Multimedia.
Yeah, tell us more.
We'll talk about that on your show.
Yeah, we'll talk about it on Soho Radio.
It's good timing because they work from 12 to 4, don't you?
Oh yeah, that's when
But
the show.
Monday to Thursday.
Monday
Oh,
to
yeah.
Thursday.
Yes.
Oh,
We'll see if we can exchange one of our days and move things around so we can do the Friday.
I mean, it doesn't have to be tomorrow. It could be the following Friday.
All right.
But tomorrow will be good. But it's up to you.
All right, I'm up for it, Lou. To be honest, I'm in Suffolk. And there's not a lot going on, but Louise is.
Okay, well, I'm up for it if it's later in the day because I will be hungover tomorrow.
That's good. Well, we could say that you're the 3 o'clock guests. The 3 o'clock guests.
Yeah.
This is so great. I'm so excited for this.
I'm loving this. We should.
This is how we do all our business meetings.
We should do all our bookings in front of people.
So
You've got our email.
Well, what?
You've got our email. Email me.
Oh yeah, I've got that
So
too.
maybe
But
don't want to have this discussion live.
I need your. Yeah, I need your mobile numbers.
Okay.
Or WhatsApp numbers.
How many people are?
Okay, well,
How many people are?
it's probably a really bad way to give out our phone numbers publicly. But for you, Max, mine is we've got
You know what? You
no.
know, recently, Lou, we made those little videos of us. You know, Lou, we've been making these videos of Reggie and Nala speaking to each other. I hadn't even thought. Someone mentioned to me recently, you know, phone numbers are there, and I suppose that's a problem for because I'm calling you or you're calling me. So if we were really famous and we're worried about stalkers, it hasn't happened yet.
But you are
luckily
really famous.
you don't have that worry. Wait, okay, Jack, do you have either of our phone numbers?
I might do. If not, I can message you on the old.
Okay, we've got another caller. Louise's mum is calling. Yes.
Hey.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. We'll get our phone numbers to Jack once we've finished this evening. Thank you, Max.
And I might read the poem on the radio.
Yes.
Yes.
Yay. It's
Yes.
so good to see you guys. And
Lots of love to you all.
Okay, very good masks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, this is
keep well.
this is like full live art family.
Okay. It is. Before my mum comes on, Anonymous has asked, do you even use toilet paper? And the answer is yes, extravagant amounts.
I assumed that was Ruth because in Ruth, who is our family / flatmate in Letters to Windsor House, wrote the not prequel. What is the afterwall for our letters?
Afterward.
The afterward to this book. Epilogue. There we go. Ruth! Yes!
It's Ruth. Are you on a boat, Ruth? Are you on your boat?
I am, yeah. Hi.
This is.
Oh my God. Yeah. Spoiler alert for those who haven't seen Letters to Windsor House online yet or live yet. Here is Ruth at the end of the show on the boat she moved into.
And this is Ruth of Epilogue fame, and I knew it was you asking, do you even use toilet paper? Because she references repeatedly here that we didn't buy any toilet paper for the whole time we lived, which I think was...
Yeah, I said that to my friend the other day. I was like, you know how if you're like someone, my friend who's just moved into with a new housemate, I was like, okay, so if someone won't do something, you just don't do it for ages and see if they do it. So I was like, buy toilet paper because I always do it, and you know, I'll just wait for you two to do it. Honestly, I think it was months. There was no toilet paper in the toilet, and I was like, these people are robots.
Ruth, do you remember that?
As someone with constipation, I think that's very unfair.
Do you not remember the time that you came back and Louise was using my leg as toilet paper?
Yes, I do remember that. I was trying to remember why. I think you just did it because it felt nice. Was that right?
No, I think we were bonding.
So here's the conversation. So at the time, Louise and I, we were writing Letters to Windsor House, and
we were not
getting on. And we would fix that by getting very drunk at the Happy Man very quickly in order to fix the underlying problems that we were unable to address because we just didn't have the time. And one time we were talking about how we weren't into pissing on people sexually or being pissed on sexually, but how we didn't really mind it and we'd sort of be up for it if someone we loved was into it. And we realised neither of us had been pissed on, and so we went back to Windsor House and Louise decided she would piss on me, and so I was sat...
No, you decided. You chose which one it was going to be. Because I thought it was very telling that you wanted me to piss on you.
Also, Louise is just a bit cleaner germ-wise than I am, so I'm like, I'm fine with piss. Also, you know, go ahead. So I sat with my legs up like this.
In our tiny toilet.
In the hallway, in our tiny toilet, and Louise crouched over the toilet and pissed directly onto my shins. And it was at that moment that Ruth opened the front door.
I don't think that's right. I think I was at the pub with you while you made the decision, and we, on the way home, you went through the process of being like, we're going to piss on, someone's going to piss on each other.
Don't ruin the narrative, Ruth.
No, I was there the entire time.
How was your evening, Ruth? It's lovely to see you.
Yeah, sorry to. Actually.
Yeah, Ruth.
On a positive note, the Happy Man.
Oh,
yeah.
Gone now.
Is it still there?
No.
Do you remember when we used to turn up and they used to have pool tournaments there between all the older men who used to frequent there, and we used to insist on joining in even though we couldn't play pool, and we just lengthen their tournament by about 3 hours in a way that was not fun for any of them.
I remember bonding with some of the men who'd had some wife problems or girlfriend problems, which is, it really benefits from the people who are playing pool being terrible at it, so taking a long time, because they sit with you like that with their pool stick. I assume that's what it's called, pool stick.
Q.
Yeah, thank you, Ruth. Pool cue. Q stick. They sit with you with their
Q stick. Thank you, Ruth.
They sit next to you with their Q stick, waiting for Louise and Ruth to finish their round, and they start to open up.
And it turns out that they, if you know a Neil Sedaka or a Buddy Holly song, they will try and leave their wife for you in front of their wife, who is currently there.
That woman who her husband was blind, and you were really good at singing, yes! And she thought that you were hitting on her husband, and then only when she realised that she was basically dealing with a bunch of lessers did she calm down and welcome us into the fold. And then you sang opera for her husband, who was a huge opera fan. What a pub!
It was a delightful
what a pub!
It was almost a sing around. We went round and we sang songs that everyone enjoyed. It was so cool.
And there was that guy.
They offered the three of us a job. They offered the three of us a job singing there.
That old Scottish guy that whenever you sang Joan Armatrading, that old Glaswegian guy would just sneak up behind you and just join in, gently join in, lip syncing with Joan Armatrading, and then just.
Where are those pubs? Where are those pubs now? Have they all been pushed out?
All those.
It's a good question though, because there's on that street a lot of stuff is changing, and you have to ask, is it our fault? Like, we are the sort of people that move in first, that start the change that means that places like that get shut down.
Yeah, arguably we are the first step in gentrification. Students or just post students who have no money, so they move to a cheap area, and then because that's where all the struggling artists live, coffee shops decide to open up there as well.
I mean, I feel like that area of London has gentrified beyond the people who are quite ready for it. Gentrified beyond its time.
Yeah.
There are a couple of things that have moved a step too far, and there is a lot of stuff that hasn't quite caught up with it.
I remember when we moved in, there was a coffee shop that, like, what was it called again?
It's the one next to Simply Organique.
Simply Organique. We were like, how does this exist here? The place was not ready for Simply Organique.
Yeah, I see.
But then on that street is still the Beaconsfield, which is it's a classic old man pub, which is
redecorated though. Did you know that? They've painted over the horrible ceiling.
Have they just painted the horrible ceiling a different colour?
I loved it. It's not horrible. I loved the ceiling at the Beaconsfield.
Not red gloss anymore.
It's a solid pub.
So basically, it was this old 19th century overly lacquered, overly ornate ceiling that was painted in gloss blood red. It was gorgeous.
Louise's colour is blood red. You're a maroon woman. There should be a song.
That's cool. Back anyone who was listening earlier.
She's just got two things cleaning out her ears. Maroon woman.
Face paint.
Horrible. Can I ask a question after Ruth? Someone has a question after Ruth. Can two people join us? I wonder. Can more than one?
Oh,
I'm going to text them.
Okay. There's a person who wants thanks. They say
we can definitely try and add someone else.
Yeah, try and add other people.
That's our creepy producer. Not creepy, but his voice does sound creepy in this context.
It feel like a narrator.
We can try.
Who says thanks?
Or so they thought.
With an F, who says thanks? That's the sort of person. Oh, it's Roxy. Hi.
Oh, it's Roxanne Carney. Hey, Roxanne. Yeah, we'll try and get you in.
For me, that would be, you would say thanks, Ruth, with an F. Once you're out the question because you're already here, I'd say, who says thanks with an F?
Not me.
I keep trying to respond, but it's a question box. So all I'd be doing is asking a question.
Hey, Ruth.
I keep forgetting people can hear me talking.
Ruth, let's have a look at your boat.
I mean, it's really, really dark. I've put on loads of lights so that you can actually see my face. Usually my Zooms are incredibly dark, and I've put on my light.
This is a famous boat at the end of Letters to Windsor House. This is the boat that you bought at the Letters to Windsor House.
Yeah, still going. Yeah. I mean, yeah. One room.
Where's Amber, your cat?
She's outside. We're having a lot of mice problems at the moment. She's bringing me mice in repeatedly, live ones.
Oh no!
It shows she loves you. Apparently,
it is. It's a present. And she's like, "Oh, you enjoy. Go and find it." But anyway, so I'm have to keep a sharp eye on her whenever she comes in to make sure she hasn't got one. And then even if she has, what do I do? Catch it, basically. Yeah. So that's my life right now. And obviously, I don't know if you can hear it. There's like a tinkling on the roof because it's raining. It's like the way tent. You know, you got.
That is the best time to be on the boat in the rain, I think.
Yeah, it was pretty
You got
nice.
a fire on?
No.
No?
Summertime.
It was cold and wet.
Oh no, it's better. It's only cold at your parents' house.
Parents, okay, so my parents love to be chilly, to the extent at which they're like a fucking drug addict. And I've come home this year for this. I'm very lucky to now be seeing them in this lockdown. I came home and they've upped their addiction to being fucking cold by having the doors open at all times. I've never seen anything like it. It's raining. I come down in the morning and all of the doors are open. You
just got to put a jump.
Don't know. That's what they said, Ruth. No, shut the doors. Shut the door, Ruth. It's raining. Shut the door.
I bet you were like wearing your underpants, weren't you? And you were like, oh god.
Okay. I was wearing a bralette, and they did say put more clothes on, but.
You shouldn't have to. You're indoors.
My little brother works in this room, and he keeps the window on this side open and the door open on this side, so that a wind tunnel exists, so that the door to the rest of the house remains permanently closed. And that might be him just trying to keep everyone away from him.
Can I just say, my mum has just texted me saying, "I'm still waiting."
Okay. So if you can hear.
Sorry, Louise.
Do I have to leave?
I hit accept, but she's not coming through on the screen.
Caroline, can you hear? Oh, that's the Caroline that came earlier.
Mum, can you hear me?
Louise's mum is the early mum of Mum Fame with the 4 dogs, and the having a brilliant night where we got drunk and I pretended to be Jesus and she talked about David Bowie and Louise curled up like a baby on the floor.
Oh, I just said try again, and Mum said how. This is my mum when we were living in Wedgwood House together, we were trying to move into a nice flat.
When Louise says that, she means when we, as in me, Louise, Ruth, and Karim, who's not here, and Wedgwood was another nickname for a flat.
2 houses before.
It was a flat.
2 houses.
There we go. 2 houses before Windsor.
We were going to move into a nicer flat because Karim worked in computers, and so he could actually afford to pay for one of the rooms.
Karim.
And but my mum was going to be one of the guarantors, and they sent her something to download and fill in, and she didn't know how to open her email, and they didn't believe me that my mum couldn't open her email.
They thought that you were stalling to cover up for the fact that...
I was like, can you send it to me and I'll deal with it? And they were like, no, you're just going to fake your mum's signature. And I was like, no, honestly, she can't open the email. And they're like, what woman can't open her email?
What woman in her 40s at the time? Like, this woman is... This is not an 80-year-old we're dealing with. This is a person in their youth. Why can't they open an email?
I remember shouting at my mum, Lois and Peggy are in their 60s and they can do it.
Notice that I've upped youth to 40s, and that's because this morning I discovered an enormous swathe of grey hair. I haven't told you this, Ruth. I didn't realise, but only because of the lighting in this house have I managed to notice how incredibly grey I've gone over lockdown. Like the whole of this side of my head. And it's hot on anyone else, but when it's you realise you're dying.
Yeah. No, me too. I'm totally great. You can't see it in here because of the lighting. The lighting on boats. You don't even realise. Yeah, it's totally brought on by lockdown. I think lockdown stress, or maybe it was going to come either without that. Who knows?
My mum is 60 and has never dyed her hair. My dad turned grey by 40, and I always assumed that I inherited one certain kind of gene, but no, here it comes, my imminent decline.
I always thought I had my dad's family's genes, and then as soon as I turned 30, I realised, oh no, I've got my mum's family's genes.
Your mum's family's amazing. I loved you, like your mum's mum.
Yeah, they're amazing. They're amazing alcoholics.
Your mum's brilliant. I was going to say, if you're going to get any genes, you're doing great. Speaking of which,
Tom, I don't know if there's any way you can help my mum, guide my mum online, because she doesn't know what to do. And she keeps texting
and
me.
Roxy's sort of suspended in the ether.
In the meantime, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to see if it's one that Ruth can also answer.
Yes.
I'm looking. Oh no, they're all about the show in a very specific performative way. I'm sorry, Ruth.
I might have one. Hang on.
There's only one that Ruth could also potentially answer, and the question is stroke jokes.
No.
Funny?
No, that's just.
And the answer is no.
Let's just step away from that. I think what we were doing there, in order to justify that stroke joke, was a public service announcement about the symptoms of a stroke.
Exactly.
I can't watch anything we do without hating us, the content, and everything that surrounds it. But I think it's fine to make a stroke joke.
You've disappeared.
I'm here.
My mum is swearing now. She's saying, "For fuck's sake!" I don't know.
I have a question about Ruth.
I was going to ask you a question.
Ruth.
Okay.
No, sorry, go for it, Ruth.
I was going to ask you, do you because like considering the fact that you look back maybe negatively on these shows, I find even now I'm like I'm not going to watch the show because I find it too personal, and I've seen it hundreds of times already, and I always found it really difficult to watch. But like, do those moments still really hit hard, or do you feel like you've kind of passed them over the years? I don't know.
We talk about it.
Well,
sorry,
actually,
go for it.
I was going to say, well, whilst we were doing letters, it was kind of like actually, no, there were times where we'd be crying on stage, and there were other times where we'd done it for 30 shows in a row, so it didn't hit the sides, and then suddenly it would make us cry again. But watching it tonight, in hindsight, I felt very emotional. Sorry, what were you going to say, Becca?
I was just say, yeah, I felt the same way. I was. You always said you couldn't watch it, and I suppose it's because we were deep in it while it was happening. But even having like between 2 and 4 years of removal from it, I find it almost unbearable. And I even reading that, I didn't. There was no even pleasure of nostalgia. It was. I found it really, really deeply sad.
I mean, like sometimes your work has got a kind of removal from, you kind of you dramatize the truth sometimes.
Shut the fuck up, Ruth.
But
what are you talking about?
But I can attest to the fact that those moments in the post boxes just shred me. But those are really hard hitting moments that I both enjoy and don't enjoy. It's
Would you want to be 26, 27 again?
Good question, Becca.
Not right now.
Do you feel nostalgia for being that age?
Imagine lockdown had happened then, though.
No, thank you.
But I mean, being every age, you're doing your best, and we're getting older and we're getting better. So
yeah, but that doesn't mean anything. Like, what do you feel when you think about being that age?
Yeah, lockdown aside, there's some of these things we're looking back on, like these old shows and stuff, where we're like, actually, we thought we were miserable, but we're actually really happy. Do you have any of that, Ruth?
Yeah. I mean, it's like you want to be able to see the big picture, don't you? But you can't at the time. You're in it, and you're like, oh god, I've got these things to do, and I've got work to do. Help me! And you look back, and you're like, wow, I really enjoyed. Yeah, so I do think about.
I feel relieved that it's over. I don't know what point in your aging process you start to go, I wish I was younger again, but I don't. We're 32, right? And there is not a single period yet I've reached where I go, whatever again.
I mean,
just go back in time and make all the mistakes again.
Except for like a child, like I never want to be a younger, sexier me, but I do want to be a younger, like childlike me, with the knowledge I have now, obviously.
That's a fucking creepy child.
Yeah,
I would totally go back to like school with my knowledge now. For sure.
That's because you want to eat school dinners, Ruth. You're like, I would go back to school and I would eat.
Literally what I've done.
Gypsy tart. Haven't had a gypsy tart since primary school because it's racist.
Louise is not being racist. Gypsy tart is genuinely a Kent-based tart, which I didn't believe was real. Again, until we went on holiday / residency with Caroline.
We're still trying to get online.
With Caroline.
Okay, I've got to vacate this Zoom call because I'm in another one simultaneously.
She's got another performance arts retrospective Zoom call to be part of.
Very busy night for premieres. I mean, really.
Is Francis going to be there? Is Francis going to be there?
It's
no, I don't think so.
He's never been the same since the skiing accident.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even know who you're talking about. I have no idea what this is in reference to. Au revoir.
I love you, Rick. We love you.
Hello to everyone. Au revoir. Bye.
Oh.
Mum, are you there?
Louis, I need a wee, but I'll
Rosie! Hey!
What?
All right. Hey, how are you doing? This is Roxy. She's an eminent disco ball anus art producer.
We've decided that live art, we're going to rename it Disco Ball Anus Art.
Oh my god. Yeah, fair enough. Although technically, right, I'm going to sound like a proper wanker now, so I'm probably going to fit in. Disco balls aren't actually called disco balls. They're called mirror balls.
Mirror balls!
Get out. Mirror ball. So Roxy works with In Bed With My Brother and Split Britches now, actually, and Scotty. Are you still working with Scotty?
No. I left earlier on this year.
Okay, Scotty.
Little bit arts admin as well. But
amazing.
Who the fuck knows what's happening with theatre, hey?
Well, yeah, how do you feel about all that?
Honestly, yeah. It's a bit scary. Well, scary. Like, do you know what I mean? Like half the time I'm like, oh my god, blah, blah, blah. And then like I just have to take a walk outside, probably listen to other members of my family because they work in public services, and then go, right, yeah. But
I do worry that like I feel like everyone in the arts has been going, I just need a break, or Edinburgh just needs to have a year off for like the last 3 to 4, if not longer years. And we've been basically like rain dancing the fuck out of this situation. Like every time we've thought it, we've added another fucking salt circle to the witch prayer that we've made for this situation now. And this is only speaking from someone who doesn't have any personal loved ones who have been affected by this in any health way. Obviously, a lot of people have been affected financially, but I have been lucky enough to have no loved ones affected.
Speaking of loved ones, can I just say, I just sent a message, what I thought was to Tom, saying, can you help my mum? And someone called Daniel has said, yes.
Daniel! Roxy, how are you doing?
Everyone help Louise's mum. Yes.
Rox, how's
Daniel?
your lockdown been?
Yes.
Rox, how's your lockdown been?
Don't know, babe. Don't know.
Yeah.
Up and down, eh?
Yeah, like some people were saying like a roller coaster. And I was like, that's a made up thing. Don't be silly. And then the next week I was like, oh my God. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. How about you? Like, because Becca, you're not normally in East Anglia, and I'm really glad you like separated where in East Anglia, because I was like, are you Essex? Are you Norfolk? Are you Suffolk? Like, where are you?
I was born in Essex, and now I live in Suffolk.
Oh my God! Tell Roxy why you left Essex.
Oh my God! I was born. No, I didn't do it on purpose. I was a child.
It's a really good story.
Okay.
I was a baby child. My parents' first child, and I was born in Essex and Colchester, and then someone started sending messages through the front door saying they were going to kidnap their child, as in me. And they once got a brick through their window, to the point at which the police came round and set up cameras going, someone's going to steal your child. My mum heard noises next door and decided that she thought it was her next door neighbours, because she heard them she thought they were killing dogs. Okay, my mum has an imagination, but not that wild, usually.
She's a sensible woman.
She's a sensible woman. So basically they were like, we're getting out of here. So
is that the next show that you're working on?
No.
That's wild.
And my parents have always regretted it because apparently there's a very good girls' grammar school in Colchester. That could have been you. Could have been you.
You went to Catholic school, which is the same, except your science is more retro.
But I think a girls' grammar is like the pinnacle of, okay, the boys don't do so well at other grammar, but the girls' grammar, the free education you can get out of a sweet girls' grammar is like, wow.
Oh, no. Nice. Being at a girls' grammar as a teenager saved my life.
Really? Exactly. Louise went through it.
Oh, interesting.
Everyone says that everyone who goes to girls' grammar is a lesbian. I don't know where they get that from.
Actually,
hey, Mum, still trying to get online.
One of my questions was, how big is your wine glass? Because that looks like a whole bottle's worth.
It's an average sized wine glass. I've just got a very small head, Roxy.
Oh, yes. I've got an enormous head. Genuinely measured my head circumference recently compared to the length of my leg from like crotch down to my ankles. It's almost the same width of head as it is length of leg. And Louise and I's heads are so different that I have to stand really far back in pictures.
When we have any promo picture you've seen of us, I am standing a foot in front of Becca when it looks side by side in order to make our heads look the same size.
Because I've got such a big brain.
I'm going to have to go through the archive and actually look at those like those posters. I was telling my friend, like, oh, I'm on this, like, I'm just watching Q&A, like some pals that I know and like they're artists, blah, blah. And I was like, actually, like, when was the last, like, what was the first show that I saw and like how many shows have I seen and blah, blah, blah. And the first show of yours was the one that you did at Marlborough. Was it Guinea Pigs on Trial?
The first one we did at Marlborough was Women's Hour, wasn't it?
No, we did Guinea Pigs on Trial at Marlborough. No, that's a long time ago. That's Guinea Pigs before we took it to Edinburgh. So that's the first show that's the second. Okay, that's technically, I know nobody's listening, that's like the 5th shit theatre show.
The 5th? I thought that was the second.
That's
what we tell people.
That's the narrative. That's the narrative we're spinning. But before that, there were 3, including a 1-star across the board Edinburgh run situation, and then there was JSA, and then there was Guinea Pigs. So we count it from JSA to Guinea Pigs and
it's our second show.
But it is genuinely the first show we ever tried to write. The rest of them was just us going.
Oh yeah, our rest of our shows were just us having bits and then sticking them together. Whereas Guinea Pigs was the first show we tried to write from beginning to end.
And if anyone is still watching, Guinea Pigs was when we tried to sell our bodies to medical science as much funding for Arts Council. So I think we tried for opiate trials. I tried to get on a Botox trial. Louise tried to get
I tried to get on a trial because for weak bladders, which I have, where
I'm
you
so
get
sorry. I need to wait.
injected into your bladder.
That was great time.
And interestingly, I did not get on that Botox bladder trial because of a peanut allergy. So they were like, sorry, we can't let you on because we'll feed you foods and we can't promise they weren't touched by peanuts. So a few months later, there was a peanut allergy trial, which I also didn't get onto.
Oh, God, that's wild. Because at the end of that showing, because this was in the preview period, because the kind of, from what I remember, it's like a lot of the show was like, we're trying to do this and we failed, and then it's like, at the end, you're like, and in true shit theatre style, like, Becca got accepted onto a trial. But what was the trial that she got accepted on? Can you remember?
Yeah. The trials, she was, funnily enough, we were like, yeah, she got accepted onto a trial. And it was a trial to, like, test blood sugar levels. So all she had to do was take, like, a sugar lump and then about half an hour later do a piss. And that was it.
And that was part of your match funding for Arts Council?
I think she got paid like 13 quid. Match funding. Arts Council were delighted.
That's fucking insane. £13. That's not even to transport, is it? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly, it's fucking sickening.
Oh my god, that's
I mean, basically all she had to do was have a sugar lump. So fair enough.
yeah, maybe. What venue did you do Guinea Pigs at in Edinburgh?
It was Summerhall. It was our second year in the anatomy lecture theatre at Summerhall. So it really fits, the anatomy lecture theatre, science, medical science.
Very true.
Okay, I've emptied my bladder, which is appropriate for the Guinea Pigs chat.
Yeah, very, very true. We just spoke about you getting £13 for your blood sugar
trial where you had a sugar lump.
We once had Hannah Maxwell's brother, William Maxwell, who was our person so we always paid someone to do a wee on stage. And I think the last time we did Guinea Pigs was at Live Art Bistro, which is now Centre for Live Art Yorkshire, Clay, amazing venue. And at Clay, we paid William Maxwell to piss in a cup, and he did a piss so big, it remains legendary to this day. We gave him a pint glass, and he pissed to the top of the level of a pint glass, like this.
And then said, "Do you have another pint glass?"
and I normally, the bit of that show, we would then hand that glass of piss to Louise to pretend to drink out of. But I was like, this hot pint of piss.
Oh my god, yeah!
A hot plastic pint of piss, and it spilt over my fingers, going, I'm going to hand this to Louise, and she's going to put it to her lips and pretend to drink it.
Well, the thing is, with that show, so yeah, we would pay an audience member to piss in a cup for us, and sometimes I would need to piss next to them so that they had the confidence to do it.
Yeah, I remember.
And when that happened, we'd mix the piss. But anyway, and then later on, I'd pretend to drink it. But basically, I would start tipping it, and then Becca was meant to do the next cue. And quite often, I don't know if it was on purpose or not, it might have been revenge, Becca would leave the queue a bit too late. And the amount of strangers' piss I ended up having in my mouth over the course of doing Guinea Pigs. And yet still, it's the show I felt most comfortable doing.
We actually have to wrap up, Louise. We're getting messages.
Sorry, Mum.
We're going to quickly say hello to Caroline, and then we have to wrap it up because Tom has better things to do with his day. Hey, Roxy.
Everyone say hello, Louise's mum. Hello.
Okay, let's get Caroline on, and then we'll...
Wow, is she actually going to get on?
Tom, if you can hear us, once Roxy leaves, we can have Louise's mum, and then we'll wrap up. That's the plan.
I've accepted her through. She should be appearing. It just says loading ... every time.
Wait.
I don't know
Tom
if he can hear
has
that,
accepted
but
you.
he can hear. He's let her in. He can see loading.
Quick now. I've sent Mum a text saying Tom has accepted you. Quick now.
Do you remember any of the words?
She says, what do I do? Thank you, Mum. You've made this the end of our online.
That was Caroline Waller. Great. Let's have another look at my cape, and let's leave this as. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, Mum. Love you.
Thank you, Caroline.
Becca, see you online in 5?
I'll see you online in 5. That's a wrap from this evening.
Thank you for coming. Please watch Letters Online. £1 of your tickets goes to shelter.
And if you don't want to watch Letters, have an absolutely lovely summer. Please take care of yourselves. Donate to the causes you see fit.
Wear a face mask in public.
Have a look at this cape and have a lovely day.
And Caroline says, OMG.
I'm just going to get up here so you can see the rest.